Hello and welcome to the September edition of Cycling Weekly's Tech of the Month. And you can see we are not in our studio in Hampshire. No. We've travelled all the way to Germany, Friedrichshafen to be more specific, for the biggest, arguably the world's biggest, bike show, which is Eurobike. And we are tasked to find our product here at the show.
So there are an estimate, maybe 16 halls.
There's a lot going on.
The most weird and wonderful cycling products you will ever find in one place. And it is our job for you guys back at home to trawl this great expanse of cycling produce and find you the finest products to view.
Yeah, so we're here for three days and we're going to go our separate ways to find our product this month. So are you ready?
I'm ready, mate.
I've actually got to go this way.
Okay, I'm going to go this way.
You go this way?
Yeah.
Right, I feel like. Just cruising, mate. Just absolutely cruising. Have you seen this thing? It's absolutely amazing.
So I've been combing the halls here at Eurobike and I've picked out this, the Rotor INspider power meter for my product for Tech of the Month. So this is the brand new power meter from the Rotor brand, the brand that pioneered Q-rings on the road. And it's a spindle-based power meter with its USP being that it is very modular. But what do I mean by modular power meter? Well, I mean it's usable across a load of different axle types, both 24mm axles and 30mm axles, and it's compatible with different bottom bracket types as well. What's great about this is that if you're a multidisciplinary cyclist like I am, who might ride road in the spring or the summer, and then when you come through to autumn, swap bikes, you might go on your adventure bike or even start mountain biking, you can take this off, put it on your other bike and change the chain rings and you're good to go. You've got another season of using power. It's a really neat way and kind of future-proofs yourself a little bit, because you know there's no guarantee that if you bought a Stages power meter on a GRX crankset that's going to be compatible with the next update of GRX, whereas this Rotor one is going to be compatible with the Rotor axle system for, well, foreseeably forever. So you can always swap this onto the next bike that you want to ride. So this is the full system here if it was with a Rotor Q-ring, and also the Aero Crown, as Rotor are calling it, which is to make the new system as flush as possible, to make it as aerodynamic as possible. So if I can pull this apart, which I can, so this is the Aero Crown, and then this is the power meter that sits on the spindle. So spindle-based power meters are largely more accurate than pedal-based power meters or ones that are built into a crank. And inside this little unit are 4 strain gauges that make the power meter as accurate as possible. So it's capable of combining a left and right measurement to give you data across both legs, and Rotor say that it's accurate to a plus or minus 1%. It's also capable of measuring your cadence as well. So as you can see, it's got the 4 chainring bolts that Shimano has, which is 110 BCD, which means you can run it with the Shimano rings if you'd rather than run it with a Rotor Q-ring. But the benefit of running it with Rotor's chain rings is that you can minutely adjust the angle of the Q-ring so you can increase your pedaling efficiency. And in fact, Rotor have a new app available, which is really cool, which takes the power data that's put out by the INspider and shows you the most accurate position for your chainring from the data that you're providing it. So this is the Rotor INspider. It's available in the UK in October for £585 for the unit alone, with the Q-rings and the cranks being sold separately.
So I've been scouring the show for a good couple of hours now, and I've stumbled across the brand new group set from Shimano, which is the GRX. And as you can see with this bike here, it's more of an adventure group set, a gravel group set you might say, so it's a bit more robust and it's designed for off-road. So, okay, it's not a completely brand new group set, and we've seen it around 2 to 3 months now, but it has a brand new top-end group set to add to the range, which is DI2, and there's 3 levels to that. So it's the GRX 400, which is kind of Tiagra level, 10 speed, GRX 600, which you could equate to 105 on the road, and GRX 800, which is the top flight Ultegra equivalent model, which comes, as I say, with DI2 also. Okay, so starting at the rear end where the business end, you could say, is the rear mech, which is slightly different and could be likened to the RX rear mech that we saw earlier in the year. So it is clutched, and there's also 2 versions. So there's a double chainring version and a single 1x version. So it's very important that you get the right one for your setup. The GRX rear mech, though, is capable of using a 42-tooth rear cassette. That is massive. And at the front, if you run the 1x setup, you can have a 42 or a 40 chainring. So you can have a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, something to note here, in the 400 series, which is equivalent to Tiagra, it is only available in 10 speed and only available with a double chainring setup at the front. As you go up to the 600 and 800, you can change between 1x and 2x, as well as the chainring sizes and cassette sizes, which of course are 11 speed. Sticking with the cassette, you can use XT or SLX cassettes, which are mountain bike of course, or you can use 105 or Ultegra, which are road-going cassettes. So one of the major differences on the GRX group set are the levers, and as you can see, they look quite different. So these are slightly longer than a road-going versions and a bit more pronounced in terms of the lip, to make sure you have good grip and handling ability whilst on the rough stuff. As I say, mechanical versions are available, but you can get a DI2 version, as you can see here, with the 800 series. And you don't lose any buttons if you go 1x. The hood stays exactly the same if you go 1x or 2x. And remember, you can customize those buttons to do whatever you like using Shimano's E-tube system. So of course, braking is dealt with by hydraulic disc brakes, but Shimano have cleverly added a little frog leg lever at the top of the handlebar for those who want to scrub off a bit of speed while sitting comfortably up on the tops. And the final thing to discuss is probably pricing. The 400 series is looking around 400 to 500 pounds at the entry level, and then the 800 series, which is either equivalent to Ultegra mechanical or DI2, is looking around 14 to 1500 pounds as a complete group set. How was your long old trek around the halls of Eurobike?
It's big.
It's massive, isn't it?
It's huge, and there is a lot here.
There is so much. Like, we can't even put it into context how much stuff there is. We're just, you guys have seen the snippet, just a snippet of the amount of product here. But we have seen some cool stuff.
We have.
So I saw Shimano's GRX finally all together in one place, and then you went off to see
I went off
Rotor.
to see Rotor for my power meter, which I think is actually really cool. I'm very excited about getting that in for a longer test, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. We also set about looking for a bike of the month, as we always do. But there were actually so many exciting bikes here that we've decided to bring you some snippets of the standout options that we saw. So we'll start with the Pinarello F12, and yes, not just any Pinarello, viewers. Ian Bernal's Tour de France winning Pinarello F12 as signed by the Colombian himself.
It looks so good in yellow.
It looks really good in yellow.
I'm not a big fan of yellow in general, but that bike looks stunning in yellow. And I've been riding the Pinarello F12, not that one, back in the UK, finalising the review very, very soon. And the bike is so fast. It is just undoubtedly rapid, but it is quite harsh. It's an out-and-out racing machine.
Yeah.
I think. So there's no wonder why too many of us are now riding and continue to ride Pinarellos, because it's just undoubtedly a super aggressive
very cool
racing machine.
Very cool bike.
Great bike, but uber expensive. What else have you seen?
So my standout bike from Eurobike was actually a Ridley HELIUM SLX disc, and I've not had a huge amount to do with Ridley, really. They kind of fly under the radar a bit. Their bikes are really good, Belgian brand, but this just looked absolutely wicked.
They do, every now and then, Ridley come out with this paint scheme that just looks so spot on, and I think a lot of Ridley bikes, especially with the HELIUM, they do look more sort of traditional, maybe a bit more horizontal, geometry, and it just oozes class.
Yeah, it looks so good. And the HELIUM is their lightweight bike, as the name suggests. It floats, and it's got a frame weight of 820 grams, which is very light. But it uses disc brakes. This particular model that I saw came with Shimano GRX Di2, but Ridley do use Pinarello as well, so you can get it with an EPS group set, which also looks really nice and is
so good.
Very bling. It uses Fulcrum 400 dB wheels, or Fulcrum Wind 400 dB wheels, I should say. That model does top out at 9,000 euros or near enough, so it is very high end, but there's no denying that it looked absolutely sweet.
And not far away from Ridley was Eddie Merck. So they had a little launch here of a brand new bike called the 525, which Romain Bardet was here launching it. So this is Eddie Merck's pro level bike. It's going to be used by AG2R, the team that they support, and obviously Romain Bardet rides for those guys. So it has been dotted around already. I think the pros have been riding it. So it is their all-round racing machine. It's a lightweight bike, but it has the classic aero.
Because it looks more like an aero bike.
It does, yeah.
To be
But
honest,
they claim it as their all-round racing machine rather than an aero bike. But it does have aero features to speed it up. So it has a fully integrated bar and stern, aero seat post, and they've really integrated the fork into the head tube with the cockpit as well, and it does look like a really tidy machine. They've tried to make it more comfortable, so you know, out and out race bikes like the Pinarello can be a bit harsh. Eddie Merckx says that it kind of gives a little relief from vibration from the road. We haven't ridden it obviously, but it does look good, and Eddie Merckx has been missing for a while. I think they've been neither here or there, but hopefully this is like a rubber stamp on the future where that company is going, like revive a bit more and start getting back to what they once were, really. But little interesting point, the 525 is representative of how many professional race wins Eddie Merckx actually had.
He was prolific, wasn't he?
It's just amazing.
Knew how to ride a bike, that man.
He really did, yeah. Sprinting, solo attacks, climbing, the guy could do it all.
Don't make him like that anymore.
They don't, really don't. But 525 is that's the celebration of Eddie Merckx and the amount of
it's very exciting.
But you thought we only had 3 bikes.
I thought we only had 3 bikes.
I have one more bike, and I've got some notes here about it. It's the Revolt, which is an e-bike range, city cruiser e-bike range. And I rode the Cruiser earlier today, which is this one, mate. So
that is revolting, I think.
Revolt is a electric bike brand, and I had a great time cruising around with Andrew earlier. It was so funny. You literally sat so far back, like pedalling along, and the e-boost is humongous. And the really cool thing about it is that you can load it onto the app, and you can actually adjust how much acceleration you get, how much boost you got. You can like tailor the whole experience to you.
So when you're cruising down the LA beachfront, mate.
Well, when I'm in Torquay, the English Riviera, mate, like cruising down, you know,
going to Skegay on your cruiser.
So there you have it, Rupert. We are done for Eurobike 2019, and we have given you our top picks of the products in all the major halls.
What
here.
a few days it's been, eh?
It has been a hard few days. So we're off to celebrate with a round of beers and some schnitzel and maybe some currywurst, mate. I don't think you've tried the currywurst yet.
Yeah, that should be delicious.
Yeah, he's a vegetarian. So
I'll have a potato wrapped in a salad leaf, please.
Struggling. But if there's anything you've seen online, dotted around the Eurobike halls, please do leave it in the comment section below, and maybe we can get our hands on it and discuss it and look into it a bit more for you guys at home. But as always, please do like and subscribe our YouTube channel for some more great content. But until then, we'll see you next time.
What is going on?
So we talked about Weird and Wonderful here.
That's miserable, isn't it? That's absolutely wild. Who built that?
Weird and Wonderful, huh?